Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another instant deck tech. Today we have a super spicy modern deck, Heroic Naya, which recently took Magic Online user F Martini to a 5-0 finish in a Modern League, so congrats to F Martini on their finish with the deck. Before we break it down, quick reminder, if you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos for the next week. Anyway, let's break down Heroic Naya. So if you were playing Standard during Theros, some of these cards probably look familiar. The Heroic mechanic did build a successful deck in Standard, and now it's trying to port itself over into Modern as well. So there are 12 creatures in the deck. All of them are 1-drops, all of them have the Heroic mechanic. Favorite Hoplite, Laguna Band Trailblazer, Satyr Hoplite. So why these creatures are not all that powerful when they enter the battlefield, being 1/1s, 1/2s, 0/4s, they all have Heroic, so whenever you target them with a spell, they get a +1/+1 counter. So just because they look pretty weak when they first enter the battlefield, doesn't mean they can't grow out of control. And they do grow out of control really quickly, in part because of one of the spiciest packages in the deck, this Hardened Scales package. So Heroic, when you target a creature with a spell, it gets a +1/+1 counter, while Hardened Scales, whenever one or more counters would be put on a creature you control, you put on 2 counters instead. So you basically get to double up those +1/+1 counters from Heroic. So one spell, instead of making your 1/1 into a 2/2, it makes it into a 3/3. And the next spell a 5/5, then a 7/7. So it grows out of control super quick. And then of course there's a couple of spells that can actually add counters. And remember, these target the creature as well. So Demroka's command puts a +1/+1 counter on the creature, but you also get a +1/+1 counter on the creature for targeting it, since the creature has Heroic. And then if you have Hardened Scales, you double up both of those counters, so you're going to end up with getting 4 counters for only 2 mana, plus choosing one of the other modes. Solidarity of Heroes doubles the number of counters on a creature, so you can easily make your creatures into 9/9s or 10/10s with Solidarity of Heroes, and you can target multiple creatures thanks to the Strive ability. What are the other spells you're using to target your creatures? Well, first off, Rancor and Mutagenic Growth. Green spells just help your creatures get through damage. Mutagenic Growth is free, easy to surprise an opponent. And remember, while it's giving +2/+2, it's also giving that +1/+1 counter, or multiple +1/+1 counters with Hardened Scales, so you're growing it even more than the spell suggests. And then Rancor is important because not only does it give the +1/+1 counter and +2/+0, but it gets trample and it keeps coming back from the graveyard when it dies. Then there are some spells that actually draw cards. These ones are important because it lets you kind of storm off and play multiple spells and keep your hands full. They only give a very slight advantage, +1/+0 until end of turn, but they give the +1/+1 counter, plus you get to draw a card. And then Vines of Vastwood is key because not only does it give +4/+4, plus all the counters, but it also can give a creature hexproof, so it protects from Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, all that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to actually finishing the game, got 2 copies of Emerge Unscathed, which is a spell that grants protection from a color of your choice until end of turn. Also has Rebound, so it comes back down the next turn. This one is kind of like Vines of Vastwood. You can save your creature from a Lightning Bolt or a Path to Exile or whatever, but it's also a way to get your creature past a blocker. If your opponent has a bunch of Lingering Souls tokens, give one of your big heroic creatures pro-white, get the +1/+1 counter, swing in, kill your opponent. And you also have Temur Battle Rage, which gives double strike and trample most of the time, because usually you're going to grow your creature past 4 power pretty quickly. So that's the other way of actually finishing off the game. Mana base wise, a bunch of fetch lands, some fetchable lands, and some of the Scars of Mirrodin fast lands, Razorverge Thicket and Copperline Gorge. In the sideboard, a ton of hate for artifacts and enchantments. And then there's a Hyena Umbra. This one's pretty good against removal as well. It's kind of another protection spell since it has Totem Armor, so if the creature gets destroyed, instead you just lose the Hyena Umbra. Then you have a package for aggro decks and burn decks. Lifelink gives your creature lifelink, as its name suggests. Core Firewalker, really good against burn decks. And then a bit more removal, 2 bolts, a Path to Exile, and another Demroka's command. So you don't really have removal in the main deck, but you can sideboard some in if there's creatures you really need to kill. Anyway, that is Heroic Naya for Modern, our instant deck tech for the day. I hope you enjoyed the video. It looks pretty spicy to me. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.